Chapter 15, the 19 pattern. 2 years before projected full convergence, attention returned to a detail that had been present since the beginning. 19. The anomaly's lattice contained 19 primary curvature nodes. The original signal pulsed in a sequence structured around 19 intervals. The projected arrival window adjusted itself in 19-year increments. At first, the number was treated as a technical artifact, an optimal solution emerging from gravitational mathematics. But as convergence deepened and historical parallels were being examined with increasing care, researchers began to revisit numerical symbolism, not as mysticism, but as structured cognition. Mathematics before meaning. In modern physics, numbers emerge from constraint optimization. Certain configurations minimize energy stress across a manifold. Certain symmetries maximize stability. When Hermes simulated alternative node configurations, 17, 18, 20, 21, the 19-node lattice consistently demonstrated the highest stability-to-energy ratio. It was mathematically efficient. That alone was sufficient explanation. And yet, throughout human history, numbers have often acquired symbolic weight precisely because of their recurring structural presence in observed phenomena. The human mind notices repetition. Repetition becomes meaning. The Metonic echo in ancient Mesopotamian and later Babylonian astronomy, a 19-year lunar cycle, known in later Greek tradition as the Metonic cycle, aligned lunar months with solar years. After 19 years, the phases of the moon repeat on the same calendar dates. This cycle was not superstition. It was astronomical calculation. The number 19 thus became associated with celestial reconciliation, the alignment of different rhythms into coherence. Solar cycle and lunar cycle, synchronized. A correction mechanism embedded in timekeeping. When modern researchers revisited this fact in light of the anomaly's structure, the parallel was not mystical. It was structural. 19 as harmonization. Harmonization. In the field, the anomaly's 19 curvature nodes did something similar. Each node represented a stabilization point between gravitational gradients. Together, they balanced competing forces across spacetime topology. Individually, a node adjusted local curvature. Collectively, the 19-node array harmonized the system. Like lunar and solar cycles reconciling after 19 years, competing gravitational tensions reconciled within 19 geometric anchors. The analogy was not proof of connection. It was resonance of pattern. Numerical consciousness. Ancient civilizations did not separate mathematics from meaning as strictly as modern science does. Numbers carried both quantitative and qualitative significance. In Sumerian numerology, 60 symbolized completion because of its divisibility. 12 symbolized cosmic order through zodiac segmentation. 19, associated with cyclical correction, represented return and renewal in astronomical contexts. The idea of correction through periodic alignment is not foreign to physics. Orbital resonance stabilizes planetary systems. Phase locking synchronizes oscillators. Correction and coherence are universal principles. The internal debate within the Horizon Initiative, discussion of historical numerical parallels, was conducted carefully. Some scientists resisted even entertaining symbolic overlap. "We are not doing comparative mythology," one senior physicist remarked. Ilara responded calmly. "We are examining cognitive continuity." The difference was important. The objective was not to claim that ancient cultures encoded advanced physics. It was to recognize that humans consistently notice the same patterns the universe repeatedly expresses. If 19 appears in multiple independent stability systems, astronomical cycles, gravitational lattices, it suggests optimization rather than mysticism. The psychological threshold. As the anomaly embedded itself within Earth's gravitational domain, measurable changes in background quantum noise became statistically detectable. They were subtle. Microscopic probability distributions shifted slightly toward coherence under specific resonance conditions. Randomness did not disappear. It thinned. Physicists described it as reduced entropy variance. Public discourse described it as the air feels clearer. Whether perceptual or psychological, the sense of alignment intensified. The 19th node, projected to stabilize within Earth-Moon Lagrange orbit, became symbolic. Completion. Integration. The archive revisited. Scholars revisiting Mesopotamian texts notice something understated. Certain ritual calendars operated on 19-year cycles to realign agricultural and ceremonial timing with celestial drift. The purpose was pragmatic: correcting accumulated error, maintaining harmony between observed sky and lived reality. Correction through 19. Modern humanity, faced with a 19-node field-stabilizing planetary curvature, also faced correction. Not of calendar drift, of cosmic isolation. Coincidence or convergence? It would be irresponsible to suggest direct transmission across millennia. There is no textual evidence that Sumerian priests anticipated gravitational solitons. But coincidence can exist within lawful systems. If 19 represents an efficient harmonization interval in celestial mechanics, then its recurrence across independent systems may reflect universal optimization. The same mathematics governs both. Ancient astronomers discovered 19 through sky observation. Modern physicists discovered 19 through curvature simulation. Different tools. Same universe. The final node approaches 18 nodes had now embedded within the solar system. The 19th remained external, projected to align precisely at Earth-Moon L2. When it stabilized, the field would form a closed harmonic structure, a complete lattice. Theoretical modeling predicted that once closed, resonance effects would distribute evenly across the network. No sudden shock, no visible rupture, but a systemic shift. Raj described it quietly: it's like completing a circuit. Ilara corrected him gently. Not a circuit, a symmetry. Human participation in laboratories across Earth and lunar, lattice core facilities prepared for synchronized activation during the 19th node stabilization. The intention was not to accelerate the anomaly. The quiet weight of pattern as Chapter 15 draws toward its close, the significance of 19 rests not in mysticism but in recurrence. Across 5,000 years, humans have marked time, corrected drift, and recognized celestial harmony through cycles of 19. Now, confronted with a cosmic structure built upon 19 stabilization points, humanity notices the echo. It does not claim ancient prophecy. It recognizes structural familiarity. The universe may favor certain solutions. 19 may be one of them. Toward completion, 1 year remains. The final node drifts slowly into alignment. Clay tablets in museum vaults remain silent. Gravitational sensors hum quietly. The human mind, ancient and modern, does what it has always done: it searches for coherence. Sometimes in story, sometimes in equation, sometimes in number. The 19th pattern approaches closure. And with it, the possibility that harmonization, across time, across interpretation, across cosmology, has always required patience. The final node will settle. The lattice will complete. Whether that completion signifies arrival, awakening, or simple equilibrium remains unknown. But the pattern is undeniable. And humanity, as it has for millennia, is watching the sky and counting carefully. Chapter 16, Memory across civilizations. With less than a year remaining before the projected stabilization of the 19th node, the scientific community prepared for measurable transition. Instruments were recalibrated. Resonance models were refined. Contingency scenarios were rehearsed with quiet precision. At the same time, historians and comparative scholars widened the lens. If Mesopotamia preserved one archive of sky interpretation, it was not the only one. Across continents and centuries, civilizations had recorded encounters with order descending from above. The question was not whether these accounts described literal extraterrestrial visitation. There is no empirical evidence to support that claim. The question was more disciplined: why do so many cultures describe the heavens as structured, participatory, and occasionally corrective? The pattern of descent in ancient Egypt, the sky goddess Nut arched over the world, swallowing and rebirthing the sun each day. Cosmic order, Ma'at, required constant maintenance. In Mesoamerican cosmology, cycles of creation and destruction were tied to celestial motion. Time itself unfolded in structured epochs. In Vedic tradition, devas governed cosmic principles. In early Hebrew texts, watchers observed from the heavens. The language differs. The symbols differ. But the pattern repeats: the sky is active. The sky maintains order. The sky intervenes when imbalance occurs. These are mythological frameworks. Yet they reflect a universal human intuition: the heavens influence terrestrial life. Modern astrophysics confirms this in measurable ways. Solar variability affects climate. Asteroid impacts reshape biological history. Planetary alignment affect gravitational tides. Ancient narratives translated influence into intention. The archive of catastrophe flood myths appear in Mesopotamia, in Hebrew scripture, in Greek mythology, in South Asian traditions, and among indigenous American cultures. Scholars attribute these stories to localized catastrophic flooding events, magnified through oral transmission. This explanation is well supported. But the repetition across civilizations reveals something else: when the sky and earth interact dramatically, the event is remembered for generations. Memory condenses into story. Story becomes cultural architecture. If a long-duration astronomical phenomenon unfolded subtly, altering celestial regularity or atmospheric perception, it too could imprint itself in symbolic form. Not as physics. As myth. Order and correction. Many ancient systems describe cosmic resets, periodic corrections restoring balance. In Mesoamerican cosmology, epochs ended when imbalance grew too large. In Zoroastrian tradition, cycles culminated in renewal. In Mesopotamia, divine councils convened to address disorder among humanity. These narratives share structural logic: complex systems drift, correction restores harmony. Modern science uses different language. Orbital systems require periodic adjustment. Planetary axes wobble in predictable cycles. Galactic environments shift over millions of years. Correction is not mystical. It is dynamic equilibrium. The modern convergence as the anomalies lattice now spans the inner solar system, subtle stabilization effects have become measurable. Solar flare variability has decreased slightly beyond predicted baselines. Background radiation fluctuations show marginal smoothing. The changes are small, statistically significant but not dramatic. Yet they reflect systemic harmonization. Raj described it in understated terms: it's as though noise is being filtered. Ilara resisted anthropomorphic framing. The field optimizes stability. Nothing more. Still, the language of correction remains unavoidable. The persistence of the watcher archetype across civilizations. One archetype recurs: beings who observe from above, intervening only when necessary. They are rarely chaotic. They are often administrative. In Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki deliberate. In Greek mythology, the Olympians convene. In certain Near Eastern traditions, watchers record human conduct. These narratives do not describe random chaos. They describe structured oversight. Modern humanity, equipped with satellites and orbital telescopes, now observes itself from above. We have become watchers of our own planet. The inversion is subtle but meaningful. For the first time, the archetype of sky observation is literal. Cultural convergence. As news of the approaching 19th node spreads globally, cultural reactions vary but share a tone of measured anticipation. There is no widespread panic. Instead, there is reflection. Universities host interdisciplinary symposia. Theologians, physicists, historians, and philosophers sit at the same table. The conversation is no longer about invasion. It is about integration. If the anomaly stabilizes spacetime within the solar system, humanity's cosmic context changes permanently. Isolation ends, not through visible contact, but through structural inclusion. A shared human instinct. Anthropologists note that early civilizations often interpreted rare celestial events, comets, eclipses, auroras, as messages. Not because they believed irrationally, but because unpredictability demanded explanation. Explanation reduced fear. Today, unpredictability is replaced by equation. Yet explanation still serves the same psychological function. The anomaly is not feared because it has behaved consistently. Consistency fosters trust. Ancient narratives describe divine councils acting consistently to preserve order. Modern scientists describe curvature fields optimizing stability. The structure of reassurance remains similar. Between symbol and signal. It is essential to maintain clarity. There is no direct evidence linking the anomaly to any specific ancient mythological figure. No tablet describes a 19-node lattice. No inscription predicts gravitational harmonization. The connection is interpretive, not empirical. But interpretation matters. It reveals continuity in how human beings conceptualize the sky. From Sumer to Babylon, from Egypt to Mesoamerica, from Vedic India to early Mediterranean cultures, the heavens were rarely perceived as empty. They were structured, interactive, meaningful. The final months. As the 19th node approaches Earth-Moon L2, the Horizon Initiative prepares synchronized resonance experiments. Lattice core facilities on Earth, Lunar, and Mars orbit will activate simultaneously, aligning with the predicted stabilization window. The goal is not to initiate contact. It is to match frequency. To enter coherence voluntarily. This act carries symbolic weight. Ancient societies performed rituals to align with celestial cycles. Modern society activates curvature arrays. Both acts represent participation in cosmic rhythm. The weight of continuity. Chapter 16 does not conclude that the Anunnaki were advanced extraterrestrial engineers. It does not collapse myth into physics. Instead, it reveals a quieter truth. Across civilizations and epochs, humanity has consistently interpreted the sky as ordered, structured, and occasionally corrective. When confronted with evidence of large-scale cosmic harmonization, modern science describes it through field equations. Ancient cultures described it through councils of gods. Different vocabularies. Same impulse.
Write your questions in the comments. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for upcoming episodes of the documentary series. New documentaries are released every Wednesday and Friday on this channel.